And it is a moonlight stream, moonlight thoughts. I do apologize because I was planning on coming back much earlier, but I did not make it back. And it is, of course, almost midnight on the East Coast. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you've had a weekend that either met your expectations or exceeded your expectations, or maybe you learned something new out of this weekend. However, you might be curious about the title here, and I named it Ferari. And I think we're going to kind of keep that one in rotation, as a matter of fact. We're going to keep that. We'll keep that. I'll tell you about it in just a second. But just for kicks and giggles, and for you guys that are out there, it's kind of like the inspiration for this is actually, we're using that as a CODE around here. We talk Z28s around here, we talk mocktails, we talk all of these things. But the title was chosen because it rhymes with something else, ERI. But just I don't know if this is a fact or I think maybe it's a fact, but of course do your due diligence. But when I think of Ferari, I think of the color red, and the fact that this particular the color red, I think, was originally selected for that particular car because I think red was the original color that was assigned to the Ferrari. It's an Italian. It was assigned to the Ferrari. So there's a red. I think just the color of red was associated with the Ferrari and this kind of a bit. Yeah, go ahead and fact check me. Do what you need to do. Whatever makes you feel better. What makes you feel good on here. So, but we'll be using, the word Ferrari for the man behind the man, if you know what I'm talking about. So, shout out to Derek C. Williams. Hi, Mindy B. I'm not going to be long on this. I say that. Try to say that with is I say that it'll give me a little latitude. Okay, I'll do my best here, but we're talking about the man behind Schwab, or Schwabs. And Derek C. Williams has brought this name out many times before. I just want to say I've had an opportunity to do a little bit of poking around in the background because Mr. Ferrari himself, he's a professor. He's got all the symptoms of an elite, but he's quite audacious. And I've had a chance to look in. He's written books. He's got the endorsements of Jack Dorsey of Twitter. He's got the endorsements of course, Mr. Skill Cates. He's got the endorsements of all of these people, and they praise him. They've praised him in his for his titles. I think it was 21 Lessons, I believe. 21 Lessons. I'll get you the rest of those titles. But then there's also there's Sapiens. He wrote Sapiens, and he wrote Homo Deus. Homo Deus. And I had a chance to look into some of these things. And this guy basically, he carries on as if it's his duty. It's his earthly duty to tell the rest of the world. He says clearly in his 21 lessons that his agenda is global. So these people, whether it's the WEFORUM, these people tell you right away. They make no bones about what their agenda is and what their motivations are. He has studied, of course, worldwide, and he's a professor, and he's got all these people praising him. But the thing about it is, he even talks about the stupidity. He talks about the stupidity of human beings. He basically, like I said, I think he thinks it's his duty to communicate and bring people into the conversation. But he also, what I'm saying is the disturbing part, I'm going to try to get to that. Because, of course, I've taken some notes. and he appeared on 60 Minutes. I'm not sure how long. I don't remember how long ago it was. But he made an appearance on 60 Minutes, and in that appearance, he talked about what's he talked about what's coming. Okay, so let me get into this. Hang on just a second. This is sorry about the background business here, but we'll fix that right up. All right, so I want to get to Mr. Ferrari here. We're going to use the term Ferrari, even if it has nothing to do with the lovely Italian car. I will tell you, I had a wonderful Ferrari of that ilk, and it was a part of Mattel's collection for Barbie. Like I had everything Barbie back in the day, and I was quite impressed by the model of Ferrari that they were able to come up with. So we'll get on to Mr. Ferrari here. Okay, so Mr. Ferrari appeared on 60 Minutes with Anderson Cooper, by the way. Okay, so, and the thing about what was stunning to me is that Anderson Cooper was just, he pretended to be, or at least he was being a great actor and saying, oh, well, oh, I'm shocked by the things that you've said about Homo sapiens and the, and those who came before us. Because in this particular documentary, they're kind of they're walking around these lands in, I think, is it maybe Tel Aviv. And he talks about, basically, I guess, the evolution of Homo sapiens and how basically we are the new, basically saying that in so many words. I'm paraphrasing here, I'm summarizing here, so do your due diligence. He basically talks about how there were large populations. You could have large populations because the Homo sapiens, developed language, and they basically developed their own systems that kind of propelled them to where they kind of got us to where we are today. So just be patient with me here. I have some notes. Believe it or not, I have some notes here. But we do this thing in the dark here. But it's all good, as they say. It's really quite fascinating to me, and that's why I wanted to bring this to you. And I want to thank Derek C. Williams for really being very persistent, not being persistent, but being he's quite on. He's quite on when he talks about this character behind Mr. Schwab, because Schwab himself is an ex-professor. So these people are they are the epitome of what I call the elite. Sorry about the rattling here. Let me get to this thing here. I appreciate you guys so much for tuning in. So he basically, he talks about his duty to offer clarity of the future, but he also reflects, of course, on the past. He does a lot of talking about the past and the evolution of those who came before the Homo sapiens. Basically, the documentary shows him walking around with Anderson Cooper, and discussing how, the cities could have that population due to the development of language and culture at that time. But he also talks about that was because the Neanderthals that came before, that they ended up having to surrender to Homo sapiens. So basically, in so many words, Ferrari is referring to us as the new, again, this is my assertion, this is my contention here, referring to us human beings right now, we are the new Neanderthals. And he says, basically, in so many words, it's better that we all surrender right now because AI is able to function and solve problems. And that the longer time goes on, they will develop a consciousness, is what he talks about. So I think that's the scary part. I think that many people, they will become more sophisticated. But it's funny that comes out because there was a philosopher, a French philosopher, Jean Racine. He actually talked about that how life was a comedy for those who thought, and that it was tragedy for those who felt. So to me, this makes perfect sense. I haven't done a ton of research on genre scene, but it's funny that it seems that that's kind of that's in the same vein, I believe, is that the AI, they're functioning without a lot of emotion and feelings. They're not really, we have all of that, and some people actually do. The thoughts do come before the feeling, and some people are not really able to discern that. And I think that's what happens now. We're in a society now where we're all being groomed to, basically, at least here at the West, we're being groomed to feel and to think. But I think it does occur more in the order in which Jean Racine describes, and it's much more. I think you're much more functional that way. But back to Mr. Ferrari. Okay, so here we go. Sorry about that. Sorry about the light in the background here. However, he talks about the last generation, and talks about the AI and the development and gene editing. These are the possibilities that he's bringing up. And of course, they won't talk about this on the mainstream. If you're up to watch 60 Minutes, then you would have been fascinating, with the super villain kind of tone that this guy has. And basically Cooper asked him, basically, well, what does all this do to society? He says, well, society, I'm paraphrasing here, that I'm paraphrasing, that society will split because of the bodies, and you'll be split because of the biological class. These other beings, AI, and then maybe even he suggests, of course, the fusion of man with machine, that I think there's going to be an order, a hierarchy. And I really think that us as human beings, we're going to be very much, of course, on the bottom of that. So there will be a class structure, a new class structure, which I think will include, you'll be ranked based on your intelligence. So I guess I would be like the super Neanderthal or something, the super Neo Neanderthal. Neanderthal. But he also mentions that he also talks about his sexual preference, and how he came out, but somehow he should have known, and that somehow he believes that his maybe kind of puts down human beings like all the time, already saying that, oh well, we're just functioning under, we're just low functional beings already, just by default, because I didn't have the notion or whatever I needed to know that he didn't have that, he didn't have whatever the sophistication, I guess, to know that he was, what his sexual preference was. And he talks about him coming out and these kinds of things. And he also goes on to talk about like self-driving cars, and basically he gives a scenario as to, when a self-driving car drives a car, and maybe the owner's sleeping in the back, is at risk of being killed. And then he says, well, then it's up to us, I'm paraphrasing here, to feed the information to AI, how, give a philosophical as to who actually gets killed. So this guy is basically, in my mind, it's really kind of madness. It's like he's like a walking contradiction. He says that we should be, as the new Neanderthals, we should basically be surrendering to this technology, but also we're also responsible for feeding it philosophy. It's just, do you guys see how crazy this stuff is, and how these people are maddening? Their logic is maddening, and their level of respect for something that has to be fed, or that has to be, you know, controlled. It's like to me, it's that whole God complex thing. It's like they want to be the creators of what they want to be, the creators of beings, and they want to be there's nothing humble about this. This is all, to me, this is, the epitome of arrogance, or hubristic. It's all of that. And it's also dangerous that we've got these people. This guy actually it's almost like he's taken it, he's made it his duty to, well, I need to make people aware of what's going on and what we have to do. And to put, for him to have a philosophy that we should be surrendering, I don't, it's, no. It's almost like there's some kind of divine, it's like, who died and left these people in charge of other people's understandings, whether it's your consciousness or whether it's your, or whether it's your ability to feel. It just seems like these people just they want to elevate us human beings, but they also say, okay, so, we should surrender to them, but somehow we've got to be, we've got to be a part of our own demise. We've got to be a part of our own extinction. We've got to be a part of our own obsolescence. And I don't know if that strikes you guys as healthy, or dare I say the word normal. It doesn't quite strike me that way. But this is the mind. These are the minds of these people. He touts in his book and in his interviews about all the things that he's written, and how his partner basically basically supports him. And I'm telling you, it's like I said, it's maddening. Okay, because I think he's Israeli. I only know one. I mean, I'm not to take anything away, but I know one Israeli guy, and he actually he's a bit of a yoga instructor, but and has a fantastic breathing techniques. But this guy he is certainly, he's quite disturbing. So let me keep going here. So, but then I thought about, well, we do have a history in civilization, or since mankind, right, to have some type of perfect storm, or some type of, somebody usually declares war, or they set out to conquer. They set out to conquer empires, or they set out to overthrow what comes before them, whatever came before them, or who is there. Well, listen, we were here. It's almost like he wants to make it sound like it's give up our existence here, and give up our existence here on Earth, and what we've achieved, and because there's a being that's going to be greater and higher than us. And see, to me, that's also, to me, more of a God complex, or that's an elevation that he doesn't have the right to to me to impose on anyone, but he's going to do it. He'll take if you've got the funding and the money, you can push anything onto anyone. And most people are not paying attention. We've talked about pre-predictive programming. We've talked about, how we've been made to be curious about AI and robots, and futuristic things. And that's what we've been inundated with. That we've had entire catered to be this kind of predictive programming. So to me, for the masses, they are not seeing this as audacious, or they don't see these characters. They don't see their agendas, because they're not going to do any. They want to be fed. They want to be fed agendas. They want to be fed. They want to believe in conveniences, and whether it's a convenience or not. This is disruptive and dangerous, quite frankly. So yeah, so just like, I just don't know how do you surrender to an entire entity that man creates and supplies the data for. And yeah, so this is what, and I want to shout out Derek C. Williams once again, because I hadn't really been paying this guy that much attention. But when I start digging around, he is actively, this guy he's got the endorsements of Skil Cates and Jack Dorsey and Obama. He's got all the endorsements of these people, and it praise this guy as if it's almost like his word is, he He's so full of himself that maybe he thinks his word is the gospel on things. Let there be, let there be AI and no longer us human beings. Not, the Neanderthals, you know, we're done. We're the new Neanderthals, we're done. So move over. Pull out get the white flag and just fall in line right now. To me, that's what he's saying in short. That's what he's promoting. And he says they talk about clarity. It's so funny how they all use the same language in the reviews, in his book reviews. Adore the same kind of language to describe what they admire about the conversation. Well, it's not that it doesn't just stop with the conversation. They are actively, I think they are very much supporting the technology that's going to overtake us human beings. So let me just find an excerpt here because I just started reading some of this. But yes, I got a lot of this from Noah Harari's 21 Lessons for the 21st Century. So that's what I'm on about. Right next to that is my Fourth Industrial Revolution by Mr. Schwab. Okay, so that's what you have there. But yeah, I just want to kind of come on and talk about that. And it looks like, I'm not sure if I'm even still on right now. I'm glad you guys were able to tune in. I'm not sure who's still there right now. But I find these things to be interesting, and I'm going to keep an eye on it. I'll probably go a little bit further because I think in order to understand what's going on, you have to go an extra mile here and there. Mr. Clarity himself, So I thank you guys so much for tuning in. I really appreciate it. And I'm going to get out of here and see what's going on with this dream. As the forces are the flying monkeys and the regimes are real. So I will be back. I will see you guys later in the week. And yeah, hope you can tune in. All right, I appreciate it, Mindy B. And if anybody else is tuned in. All right, guys, have a great rest of your, what else? How much time do we have left? Have a great rest of your Monday.